Hey folks, and welcome to the Pipnotic Symposium for the 14th of February 2023. Today we're going to run through some pairs. We'll start with the Australian dollar Swiss franc. Okay, so what I was interested in was this, waiting for prices to move up to this monthly supply, which it did, and then essentially finding a trade moving away from that. And if we take a quick look at what that might look like, you can see pretty clearly where that would occur. First of all, you have to pay attention to where prices left from. Okay, and so you can see super clearly here, and this is something that you can apply to anything, where you have this price point where price is pretty keen on respecting. Tested, 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 tested. You have to really pay attention to historical levels where prices were happy moving away from. Okay, so this is telling us that we have a keen interest on supporting a specific price level, okay, which was this price level more or less. Okay, and now it's gone. Okay, and so now you have to ask yourself that question: where did prices have to go to in order to remove this area just here? Well, prices actually, they had to move to here. You can see this is where, let me explain this. Okay, you need to find the area that moved through it, which is here. But price did not manage to hold and move beyond that area, did it? Okay, we had it here. Let me put it on here. Okay, prices did not manage to hold. Okay, they went through and then it came back. Then you say, well, where did it come back to? Well, it came back to here. So prices went through, we came back to here, and then we started to feed on the liquidity at this area, and then we left. Okay, and then prices came back. We established the sell zone, which was here. We had a deeper retracement. Then maybe we had an even deeper retracement. No, we did not. That was it. And so this is essentially the price that you would look to begin to sell at, keeping in mind of the fact that this is the area of supply that removed this demand. And you can box this whole area off. But it's a big area, isn't it? If you look at it, I mean, that's a really big area. And so what you might do instead is go down to a slightly smaller time frame and look for a clearer area. And on this time frame, it's difficult to see because there's a lot of trading in and around that area. And so the only real area that seems clear is the actual release point where prices went up, sideways, and then left. And so your entry would just be around this little price nodule here, and you would want your stop to go above. Okay, so this would be that area right there. And we'll just see where prices went to. Let that snap into place. There we are. So prices probably come pretty close to that white box. Yeah, so it went straight into the box. We went back to it again once after. So we had 2 times, 3 times, and then prices finally managed to move away from that area. Okay, and so this was the sell zone. Prices went through the sell zone, and they kept moving. Ooh, I think maybe I got a little bit. Okay, move over a little bit more. Okay, so this is the sell zone. Prices went through that sell zone, and they moved up into the thicket of the liquidity. And this is just one of those rally, distribution, departure. So this is one of those patterns that we talk about where price goes up to an area, sits on it very briefly, and then leaves. And this could be down and up, okay? Or it can be up, sideways very briefly, and up, or down, sideways very briefly, and then away, okay? This is the same as that, okay? So this is what you want to look for. So this is what we had here. This trade has already happened. I didn't get it, but this is just something I wanted to point out. So let's have a look at other stuff that we are keen on. And let me point something out that's really important, and that is that you want to focus on areas of supply and demand that are created within the last 20 periods. Okay, and this is due to a study I recently did. Okay, let me remove all of these old options or objects. Okay, so what you can do is you can just take your charts and you go like that, and you can just make sure that you have about 20 bars, at least 20, 20 or 30 or 50. You have 45, that's fine. Okay, and we know what's going on the higher time frames. This is a 4-hour daily, and here we have the weekly, so we know what's going on. Okay, so we know that when price moves up to here, I mean, you don't want to be buying, do you? Because why? Because we're at a monthly supply. Okay, so really bad idea. So you want to look to sell at a pattern, the one we just identified on the 4-hour and the 1-hour, because we know that prices are very likely going to turn around. Okay, let's move on to the Australian dollar, Canadian dollar, to see if we can eyeball some areas. So prices, so this is the algo thinking that it would be a good idea to sell here. And if we look here, you can see that prices, this is a lovely area here. Prices went up on the weekly, moved away. We had a sharper move into that area, and then a departure. And so there's probably something in here that looks attractive. At least the algo certainly seems to think so. And what I do like about this as well is that we have prices moving higher, but the underlying value of this asset is moving lower. So this is unsustainable. We have a daily supply here that's been formed, but I think on the 4-hour or maybe even the 4-hour, we have this area here. So what you could do if you're using the algo, you could simply just click this on. Let me do that so you can see. Just click it on like so, and it'll open the trade here. The sell limit, the stop. There we are. Okay, so it opened that trade for us. Okay, so that'd be an interesting one because we have this very clear divergence. So we'll leave that on there. The algo thinks that'd be a great idea. So let's move on now to another symbol, the Australian dollar, Japanese yen. And yeah, we're looking to buy down here, or the algo is, really thought that this is a splendid area, which it is. So I'm just going to wait for prices to come down there. That's a very beautiful area. And again, as we saw on the Australian dollar Swiss franc chart, where we had price leave, we came down to an area 2 times, 3 times, and the 4th time we sat on it, then we went through it, tested it, and then we went down. Okay, this is kind of the opposite thing happening where prices go up to an area, away, up, away, up, away, up, sideways. We move away from it. We can expect a test and then a continuation. Okay, so this turned upside down. Okay, so we're just waiting for that to happen. So this could be a very beautiful trade, but we still have to wait a little while for this to happen. So there's not a lot to do on this if we're interested in that particular setup. What you could do is you could look for other areas that are interesting. I like this, prices left, we tried to come up to it, we came up to it, and then we left. Okay, so this was an interesting area, but the trade's already happened, so there's no need to take that again. And so for the time being, there's not a lot to do. The algo likes this, but I like the area that's lower, so I'm going to wait. Australian dollar, Singapore dollar. So the algo is putting on a ton of trade, a lot of pending limits on these major time frames. If we have a look at this, so it really likes that there's something up in here. Okay, so if we have a quick look-see, let me zoom out so we get more data. So it likes something up here. So if we have a look, first of all, let's see where we are. Okay, we are very clearly looking to move lower, and we're probably not, in this moment, going to move beyond this. Okay, prices tested, failed, slingshot here, and then down. So we're probably going to move up into this thicket and then move away from that. Okay, so we've got this, which is nice, big departure. The sell zone established here. Test failure, test failure. So price is rallying above that would essentially be rallying up into very premium prices. But we're still waiting for that to play out. And you can see here that we do have the flows beginning to support higher prices. And so maybe we're just going to continue to wriggle up for a little while. So with a bullish bias, we can begin to look for buying opportunities. But I don't see anything here that looks too terribly exciting. What I do think looks slightly interesting is was this little area here. Just a very nice rally departure, and prices have not been back. But I'm going to wait until prices come there, and they're still far away. So let's wait for prices to get closer. Australian dollar, Kiwi. Look on the weekly. Got to zoom out a little. Yeah, so we're doing this. Okay, so we've got this going on. So prices could maybe move higher. We don't know. If we look here, yes, I mean, I really like this area of daily demand. And I like this because we still have price imbalance here. Okay, I think that prices should likely move up into this area here. We're kind of approaching the 50% area here, which is the minimum of a move. Okay, we would expect prices to move, considering the fact that we are in an uptrend. Okay, this is only 50% and we're there now. We could expect prices to continue to move higher from here. And I just really like this area here. I think that looks like a pretty decent area. It's just one just here. So I'm just going to see what the algo says and maybe switch it on and let it take that trade for me. Yes, I like that. What I'm going to do is I'm going to give it a little bit more air. A little bit more. I'm going to flick that on and I'm going to adjust it on the 15-minute chart. I need to find exactly where that breakaway occurs, because I'm thinking that it might not come down to this. So I have to have a look on a slightly smaller time frame in order to identify. Okay, I think I had some of my video pause when I was speaking, but what I like about this is, I mean, I like this a lot here, but I also like this cutaway just here. And on the 15-minute chart, you can see that we'll draw a box here, and this is 50%. I like that the 50%, the return to the 50% is just here, about 50% roughly of this move. Okay, so if prices now we went from here to here to here. If they did move back, we gave back 50% of the move, which is roughly around here. And that would be a very beautiful trade from about that price point. But it's got to see the settings on the supply and demand. 1.5, 1.5. Yeah, so on the 4-hour chart, let me mark this off here. Go to the 4-hour chart. Yeah, so I mean, I like this actually quite a lot. So I'd be pretty keen on doing something just there. I think that's a beautiful one. So I'm just going to put that on. All right, so I got that on there. Great. So we'll leave that. I like that. We could feed back down into the release point, which is here. This is the origin of this move. So if you go to the 1 hour, yeah, this is where the move originated from. But this is a very sticky level, prices and then chop. So this is like this is kind of a flip zone, you know, where prices come up to, reject, cut through, potentially return to that. And I like those, so I'm going to leave that on there. I'm quite comfortable with those. All right. Aussie American dollar. And this one I'm going to remove because we're going to focus on the one closest to price. This is further away. Okay, American dollar, sorry, Aussie American dollar. So we're moving up. We've got to see where we are. Where are we headed? Oh, we got a lot of sell zones. Sell zone. We tested that. Now we're looking to move beyond that, and so we could run for this sell zone and essentially up here, which I think I like, or the algo likes. So let's have a look at that area and see why it's on there. So zooming all the way over to identify that. Yeah, not like a huge fan of that. I see this objectively, but what I do prefer is on here on the daily, you can see that there's just a nice clean cutaway. Also notice the fact that we have, once again, price is moving higher, but the underlying value between these two currencies, the Australian dollar versus the American dollar, not supporting continued moves higher. And so I think this would be a better way to spend money. So I'm just going to allow that to get on. Let's just see where it would put it. That's kind of huge. So I'm going to put 1.1 and let that update. I'm just going to click that on because I think that that's a pretty decent trade. And the reason I think this is interesting is because we have this big push higher, prices went down, so we're essentially testing this, where prices kind of move away from. And this is that pattern that we spoke about so many times. When prices kind of move down, they move through an area. It normally looks like this. Then they move beyond this one, then they move down, they move beyond this one, then they typically test the supply responsible for removing the demand in here, and this is where prices typically will retreat from. So this more or less is where this is potentially going to happen. Again, this is not 100%. It's probabilities, and this pattern is telling me that it's probably likely that price will react there. Okay, so we'll just build our hypothesis based on historical trades, and we'll see what happens. And where will price go? Well, oops, wrong here. So prices will potentially go to around 50% of this move. Prices normally like to give back, when you have a run like this, about 50% of that move on the first visit. The second visit, let's say the prices respond to something in here, they normally like to move beyond that. Okay, so for the time being, we want prices to move through up to this area here because of this pattern. Boom, 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 which we're waiting for, and then a move away, potentially right around here to the 50. Canadian dollar, Swiss franc. Okay, the robot's been quite busy, I can see. It likes something down here. I'm not sure if I like that so much. Let's have a look. Let's have a look why it likes that. Okay. Yeah, that looks reasonable. And the reason it looks reasonable is because, well, same as before. It's probably clear on the 1 hour. So we have this flip zone. Prices come down. We test 2 times, 3 times. On the 4th time, we move through. Move sideways, and then we leave. Okay, so this is essentially just a price-sensitive area, as you can see very clearly here. So this is where the algo thought that maybe we'd like to get involved, and so that might be an option. So we'll leave that on there. Another thing that's interesting about that is that if you consider, okay, let's put on a bigger time frame so we can see our boxing. And maybe even bigger, daily. Got to see. I don't know if we're going to manage to find it. Okay, so here we're high, we had a low, we came to the 50%, we went through that. So we're looking to go quite deep. And the fact that we've gone deep into that means that we're likely going to move beyond that. Okay, but we're yet to move beyond these lows. So we have this area of demand, we have the buy zone established. The arrow is pointing to it. This is the arrow here. And so another run down towards these lows here and essentially into this area of demand. Let me see if I can remove that box just so I can see where it goes. Oops, I didn't get to see that. List all. I'm going to be able to see. Boom. Okay, it goes, okay, right there. So you can see the candle stops there. Goes there. We have the high of that candle, departure, cut through. So this is kind of like, this would be a very obvious place for prices to react, and it's at the buy zone right there. So we'll leave that on there. I like that. So well done, algo. We have another one just up here. This is really far away from price, so I'm just going to remove that. Let's focus one thing at a time. So we'll leave that like that. Okay, good. Going to the next one. This is the CAD, Japanese yen. What's going on the weekly chart? Well, on the weekly chart, we're beyond the 50%. We're in the buy zone, so we're probably going to wriggle higher from here for a little while at least. We have this area of supply, which caused prices to move down below this low. Sideways, tested, distribution, removal. Okay, so this is where that happened. The algo also appreciates this area, and I like this one as well. But that one's further away from price, so we have to try and see super clear and obvious areas where we think price might come to. And looking at this, prices come down, we move sideways. What happens when prices move sideways in an area like that? Liquidity goes down, and so this is getting washed out. So I'm thinking the price is going to come above this. It may even come to this price nodule or this one, which I like. Okay, this is why I think the algo put it there. So we'll leave that. We've got to stop. We have protection. We would have rebalanced this price and efficiency. So there's still a way to go until that. So we could entertain the notion of buying. As we get prices to update. Yeah, well, we already had a test here. You can see had this pattern form here. Buy zone established. Price poked into this demand, and we left. Beautiful, beautiful. And this one here. Yeah, prices did come down here, but you would never take this trade. Rather, the software drew this. You would never take this. And why wouldn't you? You wouldn't take this because we had a turning point above demand, and so the flows are higher. Okay, so the thin liquidity is higher, the thick liquidity is below. Okay, and you can see that just by studying this price structure here. Okay. Okay, so we have. Okay, sorry, I was missing some data there. Okay, and so now price tested that area just here, and then it left. That was a very strong move here. There's nothing to do on that for the time being, so let's move to the franc Japanese yen. What do we have here? Price is testing daily supply. Sell zone established. Now price is testing that area there and looking to move away. You can see that pretty clearly here. Sell zone was established here. Prices are moving away. And the algo thinks that this is a better area. And I like this as well because it's just like, the sheer strength of this. Okay, so prices will likely feed up into this area here. If we go to the 50-minute chart, maybe it's a little bit clearer as well. Yeah, so we could easily move up to around here. Okay, this is where the drop occurred from. So we'll leave that on there and wait patiently. And you could also entertain a long position, but we need a clear area, which we don't really have on these time frames. Have this one down here. And no, I don't really like any of that, so I shan't do anything else. Just wait. There's nothing to do. Okay, Euro CAD. Wow, there's a lot of limit orders there. So where are we on this one? What I really like, and the reason I think this is going to move lower, is because we had a very strong move. We're right at the 50% at supply, and the histogram is saying we're going to very likely move lower, and we have a big price imbalance that we need to address. Okay, and the 50% is here, so prices are likely going to wriggle south from here. So selling would be a good idea. On the 4-hour, maybe there's a bit of clarity. Yeah, this is one that I really liked that I didn't get last week. This one right here. This is a very, very beautiful area. And again, we speak about this all the time. We have an area that's been tested, price sits on it, and then it removes it. What does that mean? That means X marks the spot where you want to, in this case, sell. Okay, this is a beautiful area. Price poked up into that area, and we dashed lower. And so this is not. I'm going to remove that. I'm just going to wait. We have to be patient and find only the best entries. Okay, so we'll wait for that. We'll wait for another area to form. Okay, so Euro, Australian dollar, probably a similar situation. So here we have price and efficiency, monthly supply, and the prices are wriggling lower. And so we have this area of demand that was tested several times, and prices just seem to be, on this time frame, on this time frame, just moving sideways, between a range. Okay, we try to get some liquidity here. We're feeding into this area of weekly demand here, but prices are kind of stuck within that range. And so buying lower, selling higher would be, I think, the preferred scenario. If we look at, so this is probably a 1 hour clear. Yeah, this is lovely. I really like this one. This has been in there for a while. I don't know why we didn't get filled on this trade, but I think it's likely because spreads on this. So prices came to it, we left, we came to it again, and we left. And so I'm thinking a move down into that area would be a decent opportunity, but we also have this one here. And I like this one, so I'm going to take it. And the reason where's the 2? I'm going to put that in there. And the reason I like that is because the same thing. It's always the same thing. We have micro demand. And why do I say micro? Because you can't see the details of it in this time frame. It provided support. This area of supply removed it, so it's gone. Okay, and if you want to see the details of that, we'll have to go to the smaller time frame. We'll mark it off. I'm guessing it's shaped like that. Go to the 50-minute chart and go and look. Where are you? No, we can't quite see it. 5-minute. Oof. Okay, here. Oh, it's difficult to see. It's not very clear, but we have departure, failure, slingshot, departure. And so it's something in here. It's not very clear. This is probably, I don't even know if I can see the details of it on a 1-minute chart. It's not always possible. Let's have a look. Maybe we're lucky. Try and find that. Because the 1 minute, well, I'd never ever trade just the 1 minute. You can often see the clarity of these patterns on the 1 minute, which can be quite difficult other places. So keep going, we're almost there. Okay. Yeah, okay, so here. All right, so here we have a very clear pattern here. We had another one there, you can see prices up, sideways left, supply, tested. This is removed, prices went through it, the slingshot went where to? Here, right there. This is where it went to. So we're going to put it on like that. This is where prices will likely come to. Yeah. So prices gap down into it, left, again. Okay, and then we almost removed it. Tested. We went through it. Slingshot is from here. So this is looking like the area where price managed to move through that area. Okay, tested, and so this just looks like a decent area from here. This is also pretty, which I like. This is closer to price. And if we keep going, you can see that it just clears up nicely. Let me remove some of these. Okay, it just clears up nicely here where we have test, failure, departure. So we're probably going to have a small reaction there. I don't think we're going to see a whopping reaction, but I think we're going to have a reaction nonetheless. I might even, this price inefficient, this out of session gap, I don't always like, so I'd probably do this. Okay, I feel more comfortable doing all, which is what I'll do. So I'll leave that on there. We've got those as well. So we'll wait and see. Okay, so moving on to, let's put the 4 hour back on. Go like this, zoom in a little. Okay, look at this. Rally, distribution, go. Slingshot right at that area there. Okay. So we found the exact area on the daily chart on the 30-minute and the 1 hour without even realizing it. That's exactly where that area was formed. So I like that. So I'm going to wait patiently. Buy here, get out here, sell here, get out there. Okay, you're a Frank. 29 minutes. We've been really going on. So where are we? So we are just, support becomes resistance, kind of like a flip zone there, if you want to call it a flip zone, because it's kind of where prices flip, or the axis of the price changes. It's probably an access point rather. Test, hit, test, fail, test, fail, test, fail, test, fail. So there's something about this level here. We go through it, we come through it, we sit on it, and then we move through it. So there's something right around there that's clear. Seems to be like an axis. Yeah. So I'm going to sell there around the 50% point as well. So we'll wait for prices to move up to that area and attempt to sell. Euro pound. What do we have? Where are we? Weekly chart. Okay, so on the weekly chart, let's go. Okay, so we're kind of ranging in this huge range on the monthly chart. Okay, so we're kind of stuck in here. So we want to be in around here, kind of up here somewhere, or around here somewhere. So we want to be selling higher. So let's have a look higher. Weekly, daily. There isn't really anything. No, there's nothing really to do. No, there's nothing to do. I don't like the looks of that, so I'm just going to pass. Euro yen. Okay, so what are we doing here? We're very close to these highs. Oh, monthly supply tested. This area, this purple box was drawn on the chart, and this red candle here closed, so we knew that we were going to sell there months ago. Price comes up to it, and it starts to break away. Okay, so we're testing monthly supply. What does that mean? That means don't buy. Okay, so that means we want to sell. This price moves into these nice price points. So we want to, like this. Okay, so we have difficulties moving beyond this price point. What does that mean? That means if price gets up here, that's going to be a super attractive price to sell at. Okay, so I think that would be a very interesting spot for us to look to sell. So I'm going to put that on. I'm going to put like a big stop. I'm going to let that fill. And we'll see where that takes us. All right, so now we have that. It's been put on there. Probably a bit better off moving it down to around here. Red candle departure, the open of the candle is the origin. So somewhere like that. Okay, I think that'd be a good place to look, considering the fact that we'd be selling at the highs here with stops just above in monthly supply. That's great. Okay, good. I've been rambling now for half an hour, so I'm going to stop. If you have any questions, please do let me know. Thank you.